Welcome to Johnny Blender 3 Part 12. In this part we're going to go ahead and create the gloves for Johnny, and then we'll see where we're at from there, and maybe we'll go ahead and start rigging if we get a chance. But let's go ahead and start on those gloves. So we'll do the same basic technique that we used to make the jacket. So we're going to grab Johnny himself, Shift D to duplicate that, and now we'll go ahead and tab into edit mode and get rid of everything we don't need, which in this case will be just about all of that. Go and delete those. Okay. Now we still have the hands. Let's go ahead and rename the model for that. Name these JB Gloves. Okay. So now, go ahead and zoom in here. Let's tab into edit mode. Let's select everything over here in our mesh tool. Scroll down here to say X mirror. So anything we do over here should be copied over to this side, so that'll save us a little bit of work. So check our reference real quick. Gloves are nice and form-fitting on the hands, and then over the forearms they come out and are kind of bulky, so we will do the same thing here. So let's grab that. Let's grab that last one and make sure proportional fall off is on, proportional editing is on, and it is. So we'll just go ahead and scale that about to, let's put it about to right there, and then we'll select everything, make sure it's copied over, yes, and Alt S to skinny fatten, just a little bit though, just enough to get it separate from the skin. So we'll zoom in a little bit, there we go. Oh, well, again, we copied the shape key, so we'll delete that out. Go ahead and grab the the original model, go ahead and delete those shape keys, we don't need them. Causing problems right now, so go ahead and save part 12 here. Okay, so those gloves, there we are. Go ahead and scale them up just a little bit, Alt S like we did. See, what we did before was just applied to that shape key because it was still selected here. Okay, so we'll grab this, scale it up some, and let's move it closer towards the hand, and we'll go to top view, make sure it's lining up properly. Scale this bit down. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so these should be, I guess we can go ahead and solidify these too. No, I'm not going to solidify these. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. No real need to. If you wanted to give some thickness to the gloves, you could, but I think it's going to cause problems when we go to rig and start weight painting for the armature. The inside will intersect with the outside and so on and so forth. So I'm going to opt out of the the solidifying in this case. Okay, so our gloves are pretty well seen already about how they should be. So we'll just go ahead and select those and come over here, create a new image again, and let's make this one a nice bright orange color. There we go. A little more red, not like so. Okay, and 1024 again will be fine, so we'll say okay. And I went ahead and loaded it into the window this time, like it did not do last time. And we'll go ahead and come over here and go UVs, unwrap, so to get them in there arranged a little bit better. And we'll say average their scale and pack them together a little better. And there we go. So we'll go ahead and name this texture JB underscore gloves texture. There we go. And why not go ahead and save as an image. Back to, let's see, I'm in part 12 now. There we go. Call this JB3 underscore gloves map, and we'll save. Okay, so now we need to go do like we did on the jacket. Copy that first material. Go ahead and name this one. I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There we go. JB gloves. Oops. Spell it properly. Gloves. There we go. Go to our texture tab. Go ahead and get rid of that again. Hit the number. Gloves. Okay. Go down here and go ahead and load up gloves texture. And there we have it. That didn't take long, did it? We'll go ahead and save. Alright, so now if we are to render, let's grab our camera. Just click on the outline there, just hit G, and then middle mouse button to move it backwards. And then we'll just move him into position a little bit better. Zoom out maybe a little more. Go ahead and save one more time. Let's go ahead and render. See what Johnny's going to look like. Got orange gloves. And you know, the gloves and jacket don't really need the subsurface scattering. So we might go ahead and turn that off for them. And the jacket's looking a little dark. But you know what? Once we turn off the subsurface scattering, which like I said, we do not really need for cloth, unless it's kind of rubbery or something, which it is not in this case, which it is kind of leathery. So let's take a look at that. Let's zoom in here and mess with our specular settings. Right now it's just kind of a plasticky looking, so let's set the hardness down a little more and the intensity down. Actually, hardness might go up, so that's probably good. And then the gloves, I like to use the monkey as the test subject when I'm messing with materials. Set the hardness down there as well, and I mean the intensity, and we'll set the hardness down too. So there we go. That'll probably work. And go ahead and save. F12. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, now, like I said, I would get into rigging, but I'd kind of like to keep that as its own section. So I think, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go in here and we'll edit the jacket here and go and put his little JB logo on there. So let's go ahead and exit out. Go to our front view. And let's load up our jacket over here in our window. Jacket texture. There we go. And zoom in here real close. Pop into texture paint. And let's go up here and select that blue that the buttons are right there. Make our brush quite a bit smaller. Maybe even smaller than that. Say 9. Yeah. Okay, now this is going to take some steady handedness, if that's a word. Steady-handedness. Get the strength up. And let's edit our curve to be more of a sharp edge, like so. Okay, now it's going to be really difficult to paint this on there. I almost wish Blender had a way to put text in here. I don't think it does. We could make a texture in GIMP or Photoshop or something, but like I said in I think I said it in part 1, I would like to keep all of this in Blender, do everything in here in Blender. That's what I would like to do. So, okay, let's just tell you what, let's hit Control Up to bring this into our full window. And rather than draw out the, I guess we could do that. Let's make our brush a tiny bit bigger. About like so. And we'll say, oops, that's way too big. Radius, there we go. So let's put it slow and steady. J. B. How's that look? It's not too bad. It's kind of offset. It's kind of crooked though, isn't it? More centered up, and it overlaps. So let's go back in here. Let's undo that, and let's overlap them a little bit. There we go. Okay, it looks kind of loose, kind of a loose style. Doesn't really look like it's part of a good superhero logo, but we can touch it up over here. Zoom in here get a bit darker blue. And let's go ahead and turn on the image painting in here. And let's make this window full size. So let's just pop that up and then click our plus sign to open our toolbox over here. And let's set our radius down quite a bit, maybe down to 3. And we'll zoom in. And let's even go smaller. It's maybe too small. Okay, so now as you could see me testing out there, let's go ahead and trace around our letters there. That's where the B intersects right there, so I'm going to leave that like that. Go ahead and just draw this out. Steady strokes. And we'll go ahead and start working on the B here. Actually, I missed a spot there, so let's undo. Just gradually paint that on there. Oops, connect it a little bit better. There we go. There we go. That's not too bad. The edge might be a little rough. Let's see what it's looking like. Control down. And, well, you know, that's not too bad, honestly. I think it has to do with the size of the image. Since it's only 1024, it's really hard to get a lot of detail on there because the pixel ratio is so much different. So, tell you what, let's do. Let's, I don't think we can resize it in here, so let's start off with a whole new image, I guess. New image. Make this one 2048 by 2048. And we'll go ahead and set the color here to the nice blue. Just grab our eyedropper if it'll let us. Nope. Okay, new image. 2048. 2048. Nice bright royal blue. Okay. Okay. Now then, we're going to have to repaint our buttons and such. Let's go ahead and set this. You know what, let's go ahead and save this as, so we don't have to change anything else. Save as image. Back to textures. And make sure we're in the right folder here. Textures, jacket map. There we go. Save as image. Now we'll come over here and reload. And I'll load that new image in there. Okay, so now we got to paint the buttons again. Let's go ahead and just select everything so we get a nice outline of it all in here. And set our brightness for those buttons a little brighter. And this radius size a little bigger. And since the image that we're painting now is twice as large, it's not painting as smoothly as it did with the smaller images because it takes up more memory when it's bigger. Okay, so that's that. About the same. Okay, save image. And now we'll do like we did. Zoom in here real nice and close. And we'll go ahead and keep that shade of blue because it's the same shade as the buttons. And go ahead and way too big. Set our radius down. Still too big. And it's a little too small. I get a good view of about where it needs to go. Let's say right there. J with an overlapping B. And it's still offset. You can mess with this kind of stuff for hours. Oops, don't get too don't get too impatient like me. 'Cause it gets a little sloppy. There we go. Okay, so now control down to go back to small screen, and then we'll come over here and control up. And there we go. We'll zoom in there. Make our brush size quite a bit smaller and quite a bit darker. And a little smaller than that even. Okay, so we'll go to 4. And now let's zoom in here and just start tracing the outline here. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck than we did. You know what? I think a lot of this problem also lies with the fact that my paint curve is like it is. Let's go ahead and set that back to the original. And let's undo this so we can get a smoother, there we go, a lot smoother edge. Not as pixelated. You can kind of pick, you know, how you draw it. That's a nice smooth curve. Proud of that one. Okay. There we go. Almost there. Boom. Okay, so now we got our JB logo on there. Control down to bring that out, and there we go. So let's go ahead and save that image. Save. And let's see what he's going to look like when we render him out. Let's come back out of to object mode there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, not bad. Looks a lot better from a distance than it does up close. But okay, so that's we got his jacket and his little logo. One thing that might help. I know what we can do. I know what we can do. Do I? Yeah, I think I do. To help separate this edge here, which, as you can see from the render, it's not really that visible, unless maybe if we look through a camera. Let's move our camera over to look more from this line. Let's go to top view and grab the camera and move it a little faster that way. Okay, so we'll see what it looks like from this view when we render. Still not real visible, is it? I'd like to be able to see a lot sharper transition, a lot sharper separation between those, the fabric overlay there. So, tell you what, let's do. Let's grab our jacket and tab into edit mode. We're going to load a new texture. Let's go ahead and collapse that toolbox. I'm going to say new image, and we'll go ahead and leave this 1024. That's probably fine. We're going to call this one jacket underscore AO, and what that means is ambient occlusion. So we'll say OK. Loaded that in there, and now go ahead and tab out. We're going to go to our render tab, come down here to bake, and where it says full render, click on that. Let's go to ambient occlusion, and let's give it a margin of 5, or 4 will be fine. Don't want to go too big. And now we need to go to our world settings right there and turn on ambient occlusion. So now when we render, ambient occlusion is basically like kind of like lighting from every direction and then giving extra emphasis on all the nooks and crannies, so it helps to, I don't know, really it helps to put it in the real world because it kind of emphasizes the little details and things like that. So it also lit it up quite a bit better, so that's kind of cool. Now let's escape out of there, and doesn't look like it doesn't look like it baked that ambient occlusion. Let me see here. Oh, I just rendered, so I rendered to get the ambient occlusion. Now I hit bake, and it's going to take that ambient occlusion from the render and apply it to our UV maps. And you can see where everything that's dark is where the nooks and crannies and things like that. We're in the right here where the buttons are. This is where the sleeve's attached to the jacket part, and this was inside the coat, so it kind of creates like a shadow map of the object. So let's go ahead and save that. Save as image. Gotta keep finding the right folder. JB12. There we go. And we'll say jacket map. Go ahead and select that and just add some more to it, and we'll say AO and save. Now we're going to kind of do like we did on the skin to lighten it up. We're going to add that map, that texture, the new ambient occlusion map, to our jacket texture. Grab it. There we go. No, the jacket. There we go. Okay. Add a new texture there. Image or movie. Go ahead and select the thumbnail. We'll say jacket AO. And collapse that. Mapping needs to be UV. And you can see it applies that darkness around there, which is kind of cool. Looks like a very claymation look. You know, almost like that gray jacket better than the blue one. Might play with that later. But, okay. So we got that superimposed on there. We need to do like we did on the skin map and say blend mode needs to be overlay. So there we go. And you can kind of see it darkened up the areas that had the ambient occlusion. So now, I'll go ahead and save this. Now when we render, actually escape out of there because we still have the ambient occlusion turned on, and we don't really want to mess with that right now. We'll mess with that once we get further along the series where we start lighting things and everything. So just turn it off for now. Go ahead and render out. Save it. Okay. Thought it might have crashed there for a second. F12. There we go. So it's a little subtle, but there is a little bit more difference along the edge there. So, okay. Well, that's going to be it for part 12. Got the gloves and learned how to sketch some text onto an object, and also how to bake the ambient occlusion. So thanks for watching. Get ready for part 13 when we're actually going to start building a rig. So I will catch you then.